in different voices for this segment, and we feature tons of comedians because we do love to entertain, despite what I have done so far today. Today, we have a very special guest on Open Mic, my good friend Amanda Seales, who you may know playing Tiffany Dubois on HBO's Insecure or on her show Smart, Funny, and Black. You also may have seen her on Instagram, killing it as always. Amanda has a few local shows coming up we'll talk about in just a second, but in true Open Mic fashion, we wanted to get her perspective on all the big things surrounding us. So we talked about the incredible feat from last week when a man spent more than 24 hours atop the Frederick Douglass Bridge to protest the Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade. Guido Reichstatter got the bridge shut down until he eventually got down and was arrested and charged with various crimes, but has since tweeted that he has been released. Amanda and I talked about his and how protesting has become so prominent over the course of the last few years. Here's part of that conversation. Your reaction to this?
I love that it was a dude. You know, I feel like there's a lot of dudes that don't necessarily think the overturning of Roe v. Wade is their issue, but at the end of the day, it is a women's health issue, and therefore it is everyone's issue because we're all here together. So I thought that was dope. And he was actually saying, he was like, you know, why aren't y'all in the streets? Why aren't y'all turned up? And I was like, yeah, Guido. Because, you know, you look at other countries and it's like when they do a protest, they do a protest. It just looks so massive. And I feel like, you know, we kind of touched that in 2020, but we definitely are not as in the streets as other places or on the bridge as Guido.
No. I mean, where would you rank that on the level of allyship? I mean, that appears to be right up top.
I mean, that's co-conspirator moves.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's co-conspirator moves. You know, we've had to create a whole other space on the spectrum past allyship, because there's a lot of folks that started calling themselves allies. Like they started being like, well, I'm an ally. So that is like, whoa. Like just by nature of you being like, well, I'm an ally. So makes you not an ally, but a co-conspirator would never. Co-conspirators were like, you know, the white folks that was in the Black Panthers, like, what are we doing?
I feel you. Well, look, let's go there, because we just had a series of protests, now also in the news, whether fair or foul, going back to the summer of 2020. A lot of people claim to be allies. Do you feel like the allyship with, say, the Black Lives Matter movement or Black folks looking for racial justice is at all comparable to the allyship that you feel for women's issues?
Personally interesting, because I straddle, you know, both spaces like in a very, very real way. Mm-hmm. But I think that there were different folks that showed up for both. I think in the Venn diagram of it, there's a bigger space of difference than there are of like shared space, because I think that there are particularly a lot of clear women that don't necessarily feel like the Black Lives Matter issue is their issue. But I think there's also a lot of Black folks that don't really feel like the Roe versus Wade issue is their issue. And truthfully, it's still, in a lot of ways, both are issues that I think a lot of folks don't feel like they're willing to put their bodies on the line for yet. And so I think there's kind of like a even Steven when it breaks down. But ultimately, we all should be out there for all of this stuff, because it's going to affect all of us. It is affecting all of us all the time.
I want you to expound on that, but I do want to say, just from the outside looking in, at least with regards to Roe v. Wade, it feels like in both cases, there was a very comfortable space on the ledge, right? Everybody felt very comfortable on the ledge, just kind of washing their hands and not taking a stance one way or the other. With regards to the last couple years with racial injustices, that ledge has been shaken. Not to say there aren't a lot of people there, but that ledge has been shaken, and it's become a little bit more precarious to just wash your hands and say that's not my issue, whereas it feels still very secure with regards to, say, Roe v. Wade.
Oh, yeah, because you can very easily disassociate yourself from it and just say, well, if I'm not getting an abortion, then why is this my issue?
Right.
You know, in the same way that a lot of people can feel like, well, I complied with the police, so why is this, so this is not my issue, when ultimately neither has to do with the other, right? Like the reality about Roe v. Wade is not whether or not you get abortions or not. It's about women's health care and about simply just the fact that the government shouldn't decide what you can do with your body based on its own decision of morals and values, et cetera, that it doesn't even adhere to. In the same way that adhering to whatever the police tell you has nothing to do with the consistent with the consistent overexertion of power that the police use in cases that have nothing to do with compliance and everything to do with wanting obedience from other human beings.
By the way, if you want to hear more from Amanda, she has a series of shows coming up at the Kennedy Center starting on July 22nd. And by the way, when I do a series of shows, normally it's like this at the same show with the same jokes. No. She's doing 3 completely different shows. One show is her Small Doses podcast. One show is Smart, Funny, and Black, which your boy actually participated in once upon a time. And another show she'll be doing straight stand-up. So make sure you head over to our website for more details.